this is a Joy FM's PM Express. Evans then tried to, step on the pedal a little bit and try and press hard into Kyremateng's emotions and his mental relationship with the NPP as it is today. He was talking about discussing Kyremateng's role as a trade minister within the context of the Akufo-Addo government. Have a look. See what happened.
But you were part of a government that made industrialization a priority.
Yes.
That put you in charge of executing what one time you believed to be one of the boldest agendas to industrialize, one district, one factory. So how do you say then that you didn't have enough traction around the vision that you had? That definitely was one that you were in charge of executing.
But Evans, I don't think you are listening to me, or you are listening but you are not understanding what I'm saying. I'm talking about prioritizing the deployment of resources to be able to achieve a certain objective.
But that was a priority for your party, wasn't it?
No, I'm talking about deploying resources. So if that is the priority...
Did they exist in name then? Because you were inside. For us who stood outside and listened to you before...
I want to understand, you said it existed in name.
The priority that you championed.
Yeah.
The belief we had and what we had.
I championed.
That you championed.
Yes, I championed.
Yes.
So it didn't mean that.
You say you didn't have the resources.
But that's clear. And I'm suggesting to you that if you have a governance structure with different priorities, and because of limited resources, the decision, for example, and arguably that could be one way to proceed. If, for example, we decide to prioritize one sector over the other, well, that's the
one
executive decision.
Was a flagship policy.
But we had many flagship policies.
Yeah, but was one of the flagships. Which means that it's been prioritized, and therefore you expect resources to go there.
But I guess you're still not listening to you. I'm saying that if you have a number of flagship programs and you have limited resources, of course, then you deploy the resources based on the type of priority settings that you may have. And I'm saying that one individual may prioritize education above industrialization. Somebody may prioritize digitization above industrialization. Another may prioritize health over, because you have limited resources. So I'm submitting that in my case, although you have all these as priorities and flagship programs, the allocation of resources, which is the basis for achieving optimum levels of growth in a particular sector, if that is what I believe in, then when I occupy the highest level of executive authority, then I can reorder the priorities and deploy resources in a manner that allows me to be able to realize my vision.
I mean, and my question that I've been asking is, because I'm talking to Kyremateng, who has a history in government, what you're suggesting is, now if you get to stand by yourself, then that becomes a sole priority where you put in the resources.
Not sole priority, but
the most important priority where you put resources. It stands to reason that you're also suggesting that although you were trade minister, you didn't have the required resources.
The required resources
to deliver.
There's no doubt about that, but this is something that you can easily interrogate. I mean, look at the allocation of resources amongst the flagship programs. It's very easy to verify that, and I mean, obviously...
But that wasn't the picture we got when you were in charge. We got a picture that everything was okay.
But don't talk about the picture that you I mean, if that's my priority...
And you give us a picture because you were the minister then, that everything was fine. You were executing a project, you had the resources, you were achieving one district, one factory.
But respectfully, I'm not sure that I understand what you are saying. That I gave the impression that I had all the resources.
Yes, you did.
What was the basis of that impression?
Because each time you give us an update on the one district, one factory, never once did you say listen, we don't have all the resources to do this in the way that you wanted it to.
When did you engage me in a conversation where this matter came up? How many times have you had an interaction with me? So you cannot make a judgment in a vacuum unless you had specifically had an engagement with me in which, and at any rate, does it require me to make public statements about the decisions that we've taken in budget, in cabinet, about the deployment of resources? Is that appropriate for me to make public pronouncements about the fact that I believe that we should prioritize industrialization in terms of deployment of resources? Is that what you are suggesting? Is that basis? Is that the basis for sitting as part of cabinet, that you go around making pronouncements? Is that what you're, because I'm trying to understand why either you find it strange or you are suggesting that you didn't hear me talk about it. And because if you had a personal conversation with me and that issue had come up, then I would say that yes, Evans.
I have the opportunity now. How hard did you fight for what you believe in when you were in cabinet?
How hard? I don't think that should be the subject matter for this discussion.